Welcome. We are on the air, Michael Wickerson at Wickerson Studios, and of course I've gone into Chat GPT quite a bit, and I'm back online. Let me get this a little more set over here, and just continuing my conversations with my newfound friend. So, what I type, and this is following up in what I was doing for hops and Flask and Python and how I can learn to write. And of course, I wanted to get a little more into TensorFlow and Keras and see where that would take me. But instead of just jumping into Visual Script Studio and trying to debug things and using this directly in that, it's better to start a conversation to get realizing what's possible and then see if you can kind of debug what the scans will bring you. And so I'm just going to turn my volume down on my headset because I can hear myself. Make sure my volume's up over here. So what I did was I typed in, can you create an app, py Flask app script in Python 3.0 for hops into Grasshopper for Rhino 3D? And the answer was yes, it's possible, blah, 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 blah. And there it is. It imports Flask from Flask and Flask RESTful import API resource. So I just got to double check that with where I was pulling that off of McNeil's. And then the class hops in the Grasshopper resource, there's a definition get. And then a little bit, I've asked it later on to give me comments. So code to convert hops into Grasshopper nodes for Rhino 3D, and return the message hops successfully converted that, and we're ready to go. So I said, can you write the app py Flask app for Grasshopper using TensorFlow and Keras libraries for machine learning scripts? Yes, it is possible to write blah 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 TensorFlow and Keras libraries for machine learning scripts. And there you go. You've got it. It imports TensorFlow as TF and imports Keras and then proceeds to go through the same. And I said, show me more of this script. So the following script is an example of more complex script for converting hops into Grasshopper nodes for Rhino 3D using TensorFlow and Keras libraries. So this is a great start for people that don't want to jump hard into Visual Studio and just wrap your head around this and start looking at the code as to what might happen. And here there's a definition of get, and it's going to do a couple of things that Keras, TensorFlow and Keras libraries can be used in machine learning scripts. And then there's this model add, Keras layer dense, Unit 64, activation, ReLU. This is all kind of new to me, but I don't have to bother looking it up. I can trust that this is kind of bringing me something that I could go into. And of course, I want to find these fit models. So please continue. Model fit, X train, Y train, epochs 50. Predictions, model predicts. So the more I study this, the more I take notes on this. It could be right, it could be wrong, but I'm familiarizing myself with that text, and I'll look for it in my script, and I'll look through it for my Machine Learning for Dummies books, and slowly acclimate myself and learn as much as I can from this in something that I'm pretty comfortable with working in Grasshopper, because I just wanted to go from GH Python nodes with Rhino Remote and Python 2.0 into using Python 3.0. So please continue with full details with comments. So import Flask libraries. It's going to put in the hashtags and tell me a little more in Python, and then create the hops class. The same thing, it's going to give me some details. I say more, there's my trained data again, there's my predictions. Going to convert the predictions to appropriate format in Grasshopper. Maybe, maybe not, still have to try it. The return message, whether things are successful or not, and keep running. And then more, so create the predictions Grasshopper format, continue again, creates another definition, create Grasshopper nodes, and then I end up returning it. So this is the way I'm doing it, and I'm just continuing to go farther and farther. And what I'll end up doing is then going back into loading in Rhino, loading in Grasshopper, loading in Visual Studio Code. I could use it directly, but I think what I may use is this text playground to really start to do a learning curve for myself. So it's a short video today. I can kind of take off from where I left off, but I really, I can go to the library, I can get my books, I can read them. I was cutting and pasting, I was finding online sources. It's all here in one place. And of course, you can go farther into coding through other examples. You don't have to be using the playground. I'm just going to jump out of this, and you can see that you start getting into learning a little more about specifically what you want to do. Machine learning language model tutor, I should probably be using that, using Jupyter Notebooks. But what I am interested is still wrapping it back into modeling and coming up with some very beautiful computational scripts.